press mic.
I'll try to finish it within 10 minutes if possible, because I know everybody is looking forward for a cup of tea or coffee. Yes. Me too. So I'll try to finish it as soon as possible. So thank you, Nandla, for giving me an opportunity to speak about the research work that I'm working on right now. I think this morning we talked about policies, but what I am going to talk about is product development, the kind of product that we made to improve one of the major pulse crop in India, chickpea. So I'll be talking mostly about genetic improvement of chickpea for using Bt Cry1AC and Cry2A gene for resistance to one of the major pests of chickpea, Helicoverpa armigera. The scientists who are associated with this project is myself, Sumita Acharji, and Dr. Bidyut Kumar Sharma from Assam Agriculture University, Jorhat in India, Dr. Anand Kumar from NRCPB, New Delhi, Dr. T.J. Higgins, Dr. J. Armstrong, Andy Moore from Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organization, Australia, William J. Moore from Monsanto, Dr. Bharat Char from Mahiko, Maharashtra Hybrid Seed Company in Jalna. The part of the work that I'll be presenting is whatever I did during my pre-doctoral and postdoctoral studies in CSIRO Plant Industry, Australia. Chickpea, as you know, is one of the important pulse crop, and it is grown widely in a different part of the countries, including India. It is one of the crops that is grown for its protein-rich grains, and it is also known as poor man's food, especially in developing countries where people cannot afford meat. India is the area under chickpea cultivation is around more than 6 million hectares with a production of more than 5 million tons, and India contributes more than 70% of the world chickpea production. Chickpea, basically, it is divided into two different categories based on their shape, size, as well as color, as Kabuli as well as Desi. In India, we mostly cultivate the Desi chickpeas. The region within the India where the chickpea is grown is mostly in the central part of the India. The major production constraint that we have in India in chickpea cultivation is pod borers, Helicoverpa armigera. Besides pod borer, we do have abiotic stresses like drought and salinity. Now, I'll talk mostly about Helicoverpa armigera, which is a pod borer. The pest, it's a Lepidopteran pest. The larvae, the young larvae, they are voracious eater. They eat on green tissues, green part of the plant, and the adult larvae or the big instar larvae, they bore inside the pod and eat the developing pod. More than around 50 to 80% yield loss have been found in chickpea. And in semi-arid region, losses of up to more than $325 million has been estimated annually. Now, we started the project with an objective to introduce Bt Cry2A and Cry1AC gene. In order to introduce this gene into the chickpeas, I think all of you will agree that we need a very good in vitro regeneration and transformation system when we start with a new crop. So we developed an in vitro regeneration and transformation system, which is now working very well in our department, using an explant called cotyledons with half embryonic axis. We did this cotyledons with half embryonic axis in agro cultures, and then we select the explants in antibiotic containing medium. So far we have found that the neomycin phosphotransferase or NPT2 gene is suitable for selecting the putative transformants in the in vitro culture. We also had difficulties in rooting this putative transgenic in the in vitro, so we prefer to do grafting. As you can see in the picture, this in vitro grafting, where what we do, we just graft the putative transgenic shoot onto the wild type rootstock. And we have found that these grafted plants, they establish very well in the soil. We have found almost 100% establishment of the in vitro grafted plant in the soil. So after establishing this protocol, we went in transforming chickpea with this construct. This is a binary construct. And as you can see, it's called as a twin tDNA binary vector. Here we have two different tDNA. In one tDNA, we placed our gene of interest, and we drive the gene of interest, that is Cry2AA, with an Arabidopsis small subunit, Rubisco small subunit promoter. Because Helicoverpa does a lot of infestation in the green tissue, so we put the Arabidopsis Rubisco small subunit promoter to express the gene in the green tissues. In the next tDNA, we placed the antibiotic-resistant marker gene. We made this 2 tDNA vector so that both these tDNA will integrate independently into the genome, and we will be able to segregate the marker gene from the gene of interest, and maybe we will be able to generate marker-free transgenic lines. Using this construct, we developed more than 54 independent transgenic events. This is the level of expression. As you can see, it varied from line to line. We found low, medium, and high expressors. And we grouped them, these lines, into based on their expression, and we challenged them in vitro bioassays. Most of these bioassays were done by Dr. Joel Armstrong in CSIRO plant industry. What we have found that the lines that are expressing very high amount of Cry2A protein gave us near complete resistance to the Helicoverpa larvae in the in vitro bioassays. This part of the work has already been published in Plant Science. We are now using these lines, whatever the lines we generate with the Cry2A, we are doing this analysis on transmission, expression in the subsequent generations, and we have found that the gene is stably transmitted and up to T6 generation, that is F6 progenies. The second gene that we introduced in chickpea was Bt Cry1AC, which is also known to be very effective against Helicoverpa and Migera. We made a pretty much similar construct that we used previously, and it's the same twin tDNA binary vector where we have the gene driven by Arabidopsis rubisco small subunit promoter to express it into the green tissues. Using this construct, we have generated more than 74 independent transgenic events. These are some of the data on analysis, protein expression based on ELISA that we did, and also the segregations. Most of the segregation study we did based on the PCR, as well as we try to do some with the ELISA as well. This is the presence of the gene in the primary transgenic with the multiplex PCRs, where we used primers for both Cry1AC, NPT2, as well as actin as an endogenous control. This figure shows the expression of the protein in one of the progeny of one of the line which is expressing very high. We also looked at the copy number, or the gene copy number in the independent transgenic events, and we have found that the line that are expressing very high, some of these lines, they have single copy of the transgene inserts. So as you can see, the line 100B, which previous slides you saw the level of the expression, has a single copy of the insert. The 100E also has a single copy of the insert. These lines, we also, we started growing them in the glasshouse. We started multiplying these lines in the glasshouse in order to find out a putative homozygous progeny, which will be useful for the breeding purposes. We have found that out of all the lines that we tested, 3 lines, so we could find out putative homozygous progeny in 100B as well as in 100E. These are the segregating progeny in the glasshouse. Now again, these lines, when we challenged under in vitro bioassays, we took them into the in vitro bioassays, and we have found that the lines that are expressing very high amount of Bt proteins, they give us near or complete resistance to the Helicoverpa larvae. Those lines which are expressing medium amount of the Bt protein, they give us near 87.4% of the larval mortality, and those which are very low level expressions, they gave us around 15 to 13% mortality of the insect larvae in the bioassays. We also looked at, after we did the segregation analysis, identified the homozygous progeny, we also looked at the phenotype of this plant. We looked at the phenotype, the morphology of the plant, and compared it with the non-transgenic counterpart, as well as we also looked at the yield per plant, how much amount of the seeds that we got per plant from the transgenic, and compare that with the non-transgenic. We found that the lines that are expressing high level, there is not much significant difference between the transgenic and the non-transgenic counterpart. After developing these lines, we did transfer these lines to the private organization like Sangro Seeds, which is a sister concern of Maharashtra Hybrid Seed Company, one of the leading seed company who are the pioneer in working with the BT cotton, who first released the BT cotton in the Indian market. So we gave this technology to them. We also gave the technology to the private public partners like ICRIS at Patanjali, the University of Agricultural Sciences in Dhawar, Indian Institute of Pulse Research in Kanpur for integration breeding program, further evaluation of these lines, and for do the field trials, because all these are very expensive and we may not be able to do it. So this is the technology transfer photograph of technology transfer, where the agreement was signed in presence of Union Minister of Science and Technology. He was then Indian Minister of Science and Technology. You can see in the middle. So integration breeding program, these are some of the photographs of integration breeding program that are going on in Sangro Seeds, and they have almost did crossing with 6 different elite varieties of India, so as to see the level of expression as well as level of resistance. These are the bioassays that are going on in the greenhouse, and we have received some of the key results from the Sangro Seeds very recently, where they have found that the transgenic seeds, the percent pod damage is much more lower, and there was a little bit of ill advantages in the transgenic compared to the non-transgenic counterpart. In conclusions, I would like to say that we have been able to generate transgenic chickpeas which are stably integrating and transferring the gene to the next generation. And we have also found that the lines that are expressing very high level of BT protein, they gave us complete resistance to the pod borer larvae. The future challenges are, we would like to generate more transgenic lines using the same gene, introduce different versions of the BT genes so as to increase efficacy. Also, we have the idea to pyramid those two genes, maybe by integration breeding program or generating a construct where we can place both the genes together. And also we have a future plan to generate transgenic chickpea not only for pod borers but also for stored grain pest, which is also a major pest in the chickpeas during the storage condition. Lastly, I would like to acknowledge the funding agencies. We have received generous funding from Department of Biotechnology, Government of India, Indo-Swiss Collaboration in Biotechnology, who are always with us for the past 10 years during this entire product development process, Australia India Strategic Research Fund, then ICAR, New Delhi, Assam Agricultural University definitely for providing us space to do this work, Dr. Barbara Horn from Switzerland, who is always a constant supporter to this project. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Sumita, for managing time. 2 burning questions, and then if you have very burning questions, talk to Marjorie Tiberi. So only 2. The 2 gentlemen at the end.
Okay, thank you, Sumita, for the nice presentation. I have a question regarding the marker gene, MBT2 gene. So do you think it's wise to use this marker gene for further experiments, since there are, for biosafety regulation and regarding the EU directive that it's not allowed anymore to use the marker or bacterial marker gene, and instead it's better to use either herbicide tolerant genes or positively selected marker genes or marker-free system.
Yeah, our basic idea was to generate this quintillion and binary vector is to eliminate the marker from the gene of interest. We assume that there are two different tDNA. In one tDNA we have the gene of interest, and in the other one we have the selected marker gene. This will integrate into two different parts of the chromosome, and it will segregate in the subsequent progeny. So we will be able to generate marker-free transgenic lines in that case.
Yeah, this one system, but I think if you use another gene, like herbicide gene, in this case you can
other insects, whether we have tested or we have found other insects in the transgenic chickpea crops. Do you want to?
Yeah.
We have not done any field trials so far. It's all in the greenhouse or in the glasshouse conditions. So we don't know what will be in the field condition, whether many other pests will come in the transgenic crops.
And what's the difference, the mode of action of both genes?
Both the gene, I think Cry1EC is more effective compared to the Cry2A, but we need a pyramidal crop at any cost to have better resistance in the field. Is it?
Thank you, Sumita.
Thank you.
And thank you. I can see you have a lot of conversations to have during tea break, and big hand to Sumita.